Are we ready officially?
We are if you are.
Okay. The time is now 5:01 p.m. And I will call this special meeting of the Board of Trustees meeting to order. The date is September 30th, 2025. Mrs. Guy, was this meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a quorum?
We do.
Thank you so much for that. Ms. Garcia, has anyone signed up to speak under citizens' participation? Thank you so much. Let the record show we do not have any speakers signed up to speak tonight. We'll move on to item 3, action items. Consider and review report from search firm on superintendent search community focus group comments. At this time, I'll welcome Dr. Moses and Mr. Thompson. There's 2 Davids, I'll get it right.
Don't throw that in there.
Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. We're excited to hear what y'all have to say. We understand you spent a lot of time with our community today. We're ready to hear from you.
You want to start, Mike?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It is good to be here. Thank you for setting this time aside too. I did spend the night here last night, so I didn't really go early this morning. And, drive back tonight. But thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. Also, I'll let David tell you, we had a really good day today. Thank you for the people you appointed and invited to serve as members of the focus group. They were all thoughtful, and everybody got to speak at least 4 times today in every meeting, which I told them, I said, if there were 20 people in the room at most of our sessions, I said, you get to speak 4 times, that means you get to listen 64 times. So listening skills, but that's the beauty of this, is you get here with other people in your community of thinking. So I think it was a pretty good discussion. A couple of things. This is a beautiful facility. Congratulations. Really nice facility. David and I walked around this morning, and it was really made perfect for what we wanted to accomplish today. And so thank you for the facility. And I think this is going to obviously serve the district and community well for a long time. I don't know if she's still here or not, but Kendall also made it was great. Everything very well organized. It couldn't have been put together any better. Our communications with her for the last 2 or 3 weeks since we saw you last has been outstanding. Follow-up has been outstanding. So I don't know how it could have been better now. Now bragging on her thought I'll be.
She didn't give a photo count.
I'm kidding her about all that. I thought we were having fun today.
Mike's thinking stay fair.
But anyway, those points I would make. Maybe you want to talk, then we'll both talk a little bit about some of the things we heard today. And then after we've done that, we'd probably like y'all to go around and tell us kind of what you're thinking and your hopes and aspirations for a new superintendent, since we haven't done that yet. We probably ought to do that in open session, Mr. Chairman. And then we'd like to probably have a few minutes to go into closed session. We can talk maybe about some potential candidates and that kind of thing. So anyway, David.
Mike, thanks, Mr. President, members of the board. I would echo Mike's comments. Outstanding facility, something you should be very proud of. Very nice, very functional, excellent place to meet today. And Kendall Davis was just wonderful. It's a day that is important for us today, and we very much appreciate her. And thank you for the individuals that you nominated. We had excellent participation today. I think the turnout in all of the groups was, it wasn't perfect because people do have issues come up, but we had high participation in all of the groups. And in particular, the students that you nominated, the adults, I think, always appreciate hearing other adults' comments, but to hear the students' comments is particularly meaningful. Remember our operating rule we talked about when we met with the board previously, the 4 Ps: process is public, people is private. We'll give you a little feedback here of what we heard during the course of the day. We have a couple of other process things. Mr. expressed it to the public and then at the board's pleasure. We can go into closed session and give an appropriate closed session discussion about recruitment and how the search is proceeding. In our focus groups, we started early this week with nonstop all day, met with the media over the noon hour, met with our senior staff later this afternoon. So it really has been a very full day. And we hope you've received some feedback and some comments, and we always welcome any thoughts you may have heard. But we try to make these sessions constructive, positive, and conversational. We want people to feel free to tell us what they want to hear, and then through us what they want you to hear. And what we'd like to do this evening is simply give you a little flavor of some of the comments that we've heard here today. But as soon as we have an opportunity, it'll probably be, I'm going to promise first part of next week with all the comments typed up, organized, and you will see every single comment in writing. But we won't give you just a taste of it so that you get a sense of the flow and what the questions were. By the way, the questions that we went over today with the focus group, Kendall will now, your staff is going to have a survey on October 2nd so that anyone in the community who wants to give their thoughts and inputs will get an opportunity to do so. The first question we always start with: what are the strengths of the district or the community that you are proud of and that you would want any person who is considering applying for this job to know about? What's our elevator speech? You should consider the superintendency at Goose Creek CISD for college and below. What's important to us? What are we proud of? What are our strengths? And we could spend the whole time in every session obviously talking about our strengths, but we'll give you a little taste of some of the ones that, and what we particularly want to bring to your attention are the comments that came up over and over. What naturally emerges when we do this process is you see certain themes that just sort of naturally emerge during the day. There may be some individual comments that aren't repeated, but you do have some that just recur in every session and from different perspectives. And I'll mention a couple of them Mike can add to them. Number one, outstanding teachers and administrators. And the comment there was that many people on your staff who have worked here for a long number of years. And also there was a recognition that you need people who grow up in the district, go away perhaps for college or education, return to teach and work here. So there was a recognition about that, and it was identified very quickly as one of your great strengths. The academic opportunities for children, the academies, the different programs that prepare students not only for college, but for career training and job training, were mentioned over and over and over in every session as one of your great strengths. And there was, I think, a recognition that in many of these areas, your district is a leader and is kind of setting the standard for other communities. Diversity was mentioned as a strength. That you have a variety of students and families and kids, and that all students are welcome to the district, and that the district works hard to provide educational opportunities for all students. Your community partnerships, the community support, the business partnerships, the industry partnerships were all mentioned as strengths. Lee College, your dual credit programs, and your partnerships with the college were mentioned multiple times. And several people commented that the community still has a family or small town feel, even though it's quite a bit bigger. Mike, I'm going to stop there and see if there are any you want to add as strengths. But again, that'll just give you a flavor of the kind of positives that we started with in our discussions today?
I think you hit the ones, the
All right.
ones that we heard the most. But I thought, as you would suspect, there's a lot of pride in the district, a lot of pride people felt. And, you know, felt that the district was innovative. I heard some shout outs a couple, 2 or 3 times about the district's working in technology too. That there was the recognition of efforts being made there. But I think David's hit the high points there.
So, as I say, we could spend all our time talking about the positives, things we like. The next question, we say, it's going to get a little harder. The next question, turn it around. And Mike and I are always very careful to say districts do not have problems. Districts have challenges. All organizations, every one of us has challenges. We all have things we can work on and get better at. And that's the context in which we try to phrase it. So that we turn it around and say, okay, what are some of the challenges facing the district and the community in the next 1 to 3 years that a new superintendent ought to know about? And Mike uses the example, it's sort of like marrying into a family. There's an ongoing story. It doesn't start just because you married into the family. But you have to learn about it and get up to speed with what's going on with the family once you're part of it. And so what are some of the challenges in front of the district in the next year to 3 years that a new superintendent should know about and come prepared to address? And again, I'll mention some of the ones that have recurred over and over, and you'll see all of them. Number one, there was a recognition that we've got work to do on test scores, activities, and state accountability. Goose Creek doesn't want it should not put yourself in a position where you are having to deal with more TEA interventions. You need to address academic issues and performance issues. And so that's a challenge that's in front of you. Coupled with that, there was a recognition every single group noted that there are challenges around financial budgets. The state has put quite a bit of money into education in this late session. We're appreciative of that. But most of that money was already targeted by the state into specific areas. It was not flexible money given to districts where the district had control over how to allocate it. It was really more targeted from the state level. Sometimes that fits well. Sometimes that still doesn't address some of the other needs. But that issue of budgets, finance, all of the ESSER funds, we're at the end of those. And so dealing with budget issues and minimizing the impact on the classroom, doing the hard work around prioritization, and making sure that budget decisions and finance decisions, to the extent possible, minimize the impact on students in the classroom. Changing demographics, that is a Goose Creek issue, that is a statewide issue. It is just a fact. Our demographics as a state are changing. That creates challenges for schools that we maybe didn't have to deal with in the past. Diversity was also mentioned as a challenge. It was a strength. It's also a challenge because as you have a more diverse population and you're trying to provide quality education across a wider range of students, that creates its own challenge. The example I would use, Henry Ford, when he started his assembly lines, said you can have any color you want as long as it's black. If you're making one model in one color with one color interior, it's a pretty straightforward process. When his assembly line expanded to making 3 models in 4 colors with 2 different interiors, that is a different and more complex process. And so diversity is absolutely a strength, but it also creates some challenges. Student behavior was recognized in every group, included by some of the students as being an issue. And we've seen this statewide. Again, this is not a problem for Goose Creek or Mayfield. I think in a post-COVID world, some behaviors have coarsened a little bit. That creates stresses and issues for teachers, and that was noted. And then related to teachers, teacher recruitment, teacher retention, trying to make sure you have high quality teachers in all of the classes and all of your campuses was identified as a challenge. And then there was a comment in all groups, there was a comment that you're growing in some parts of the district. Other parts of the district are declining. That creates issues around facilities, around exposing the most efficient use of facilities, some newer facilities, older facilities. And so just dealing with those different aspects of different parts of the district will be a challenge for your new superintendent. And several people said following Dr. O'Brien in and of itself will be a challenge. So I thought that was worth it. There was an appreciation of the work that the board and Dr. O'Brien have done together over the years. And so simply following, was identified as a challenge. Right, Kelsey, if you have anything you want to add?
I think the words we heard was big shoes to fill.
Yep.
We got big shoes to fill. I think David's probably highlighted that, but I do think that the financial position of the district is well understood. Concerned about having to do deficit budgeting was concerned. There's still some people who reflected on the bail bond issues and that facilities is a concern, and they were kind of, I think, reflecting that they wish that things had been different. And some said we thought that was still going to be an area that's going to have to be addressed at some point. Heard a little bit about mental health, but I would say mental health concerns for teachers and students. But I would say, David, the concern about student behavior, student conduct, as David said, we hear this all over the state. And the legislature passed a bill this last session to help address some of that in House Bill 6. But with regard to student conduct, student behavior, teachers leaving, why do teachers leave, teacher retention, and we had quite a healthy discussion in almost every group, well, not almost, in every group, about teacher retention and about the need to have a thoughtful plan to address that. We talked with senior staff about that too as well. But I thought what was interesting was the level of understanding, and I'll even say in some cases level of sophistication that people you appointed had about some of these issues. It's not like David and I were just listeners. They were actually talking about things that showed some knowledge and understanding that was pretty impressive for lay people. So, in any event, probably not a big surprise to you. You probably hear you're up to speed on, but I think there are members of the community out there that are as well. You probably know that these are things you're going to have to address, and it will require some courage to address them. We talked about the need for courageous decision making too. So anyway, but these were, nobody was throwing bombs. Nobody was saying these are beating on the table. These are things. It was a very constructive, thoughtful offerings that people made.
One other, several people noted, I was just looking at my notes, I will say misinformation on social media and conversations that don't accurately reflect always what is occurring in the district. And that is not a unique issue. We've heard that in other communities. Social media has changed the environment in many ways. Some is positive. I've reconnected with friends from high school that I had long lost touch with. So there certainly are powerful positive things. But it also can have a negative impact. And several people did express concerns about that and about how the district is perceived, which may not always be aligned with what's actually occurring in the schools and with your students. So that's kind of a snapshot. Think of that as just kind of a template. Here are our strengths. Here are some challenges we're going to be dealing with. And we always kind of close this section by saying, you know, the challenges are real. It's not like we can wish them away. They're going to have to be addressed. But don't forget the strengths that we started with, because it is the strengths that we're going to have to depend on to allow us to address the challenges. And if we don't keep our strengths in mind, we're going to struggle to address the challenges. So that's kind of the way we close that first portion. Then we turn our attention to what kind of person should the board have in mind as you look at all the applications, as you go through materials, as you prepare to conduct interviews. And we divided this into a couple of sections. The first section is think of resume factors, things about somebody's professional career or pathway that would be evident on a resume, on an application, because the board will start by reviewing a lot of materials. And we talk about things like, is this a job that requires prior superintendent experience, or are you open to someone for whom this would be their first superintendent? Maybe a deputy in Washington. And I will say we've got a mix of responses. Mike, I felt like the majority of the responses would have favored prior superintendent experience, but we got quite a bit of comments both ways on that one. Several people were careful to say we want successful experience with a diverse population that is similar to Goose Creek's population. In other words, we don't want, you can be unsuccessful for multiple years in a row. That doesn't necessarily equate to good standing for this position. So there was several people said demonstrated successful experience with similar demographics. That would be one way I would phrase it. And people who have faced some of the issues that we identified that this district is going to be facing. And demonstrate that, not just talking, but in some way to objectively show that they've touched on some of those issues. Teacher experience, principal experience. We noted in our accountability system in Texas, we don't actually start by rating districts. We rate campuses, and then district ratings are an amalgamation of campus ratings. That's the way our system works. Leading a campus was viewed as pretty important. We've got a lot of comments about somebody's career path, having had an experience was pretty critical, and again, the teaching experience. Mike, do you want to add anything?
You already told me that. I don't think there was a consensus about doctor being important.
No, I think the consensus was it
It's
was.
not important. It wasn't important. I think there was some healthy discussion, I guess, about whether or not the district needed this person to be more of a disruptor of the system.
At least in one of them.
Yeah, there were a couple of people thought that great disruption was needed. Others were not quite so sure that was
The more incremental change.
maybe change was needed, but it needed to be a thoughtful, deliberate change. But that was kind of a healthy discussion. I think David has hit the others. You know, the question was about kind of to somebody that's never been superintendent to do this. And I think as a discussion more on when we talk about some of the complexities, that you have the largest budget in the community, the largest number of employees in the community, you have the largest food service operation in the community, you have the largest transportation system in the community, the largest maintenance program in the community. You have a $278 million budget. Is this a starter job? And I think, you know, there's people that have just reflecting on that, about what that might mean. And that is not to say that, you know, we've talked about recruiting outstanding leaders who may not necessarily be superintendents, but I think I made a statement, the board will have to consider carefully, you know, what's brought to the table and the experiences that are there. But again, good comments, and I think people were thinking very carefully.
Several people did say that they would prefer someone whose experience is in Texas. Texas has, our accountability system is fairly unique, our funding system is fairly unique. And so, and the job is obviously posted. People from anywhere who see the posting are welcome to apply, and the board will certainly see those individuals. But I think there was a number of comments that Texas experience would be preferred. And a couple of people even said Southeast Texas experience would be preferred. So we'll see. We'll see what we get there. So that's kind of those. Think of those as kind of resume or career path criteria. Then the last question we thought about are what are the non-resume personal things? What are you looking for? What would you like the board to look for in terms of those personal attributes? I'll mention a couple or a few, and then Mike can add some. Someone who's personable and approachable. Inspirational, forward thinking, accountable, highly visible, involved on campuses and in the community. And a couple of people said not just involved in the community when they're wearing their superintendent hat, but in their own personal lives. They're involved in because they change. I'm moral character. A trust builder, somebody who builds trust and builds a culture based on that. I'll stop there and see if you're in.
Understanding, integrity several times, integrity again several times. Somebody that offers some charisma and energy and enthusiasm. Communicator, of course, the honest, David, I think, said moral character. Somebody that understands interpersonal relationships, and they're very important. Champion for children, champion for our community, our school district. I think those were probably the ones that kept coming out.
So, President, members, that's just a flavor of what we heard here today, and you will see within the next few days all of the comments. That will be kind of a taste of what we heard. We would welcome at this time, if you have any questions, any comments, or frankly, if you've heard any comments back from people who participated, we always like to hear what people who participate in.
Or if you would like to.
I thought we did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think I've told you already, but just for everyone to know, I did hear from one of the people that I had recommended for the committee, and they were very impressed. They thought the questions were great. They were impressed by Dr. Moses and Mr. Thompson, and so I think it seems to have gone very well on their end as well.
Thank you.
I had two constituents contact me as well with similar comments. It was very well organized. It was, the input was valued. They feel valued by coming here. I want to backtrack, and I should have talked about this at the very beginning of the meeting. Every member of the focus group was placed there by someone sitting up here. at these
Correct.
tables. It
We
was
go
by-
with it.
by a trustee. It was not placed by administration. And I do want to publicly thank Ms. David and her team. They worked feverishly behind the scenes to make it happen. They got this group together. There were some that we had to replace and such. And Ms. David, you and your team did an amazing job to make that happen in such a short time. I'm going to get you to start helping me schedule for me. You did with 60 some odd people what's hard to do with big people sometimes, so I commend you on that. But the feedback I received was very good.
Sorry, we're trying to get the microphone on one.
Can't hear you.
Mine is very hard to hear, but if I did this, you could hear it.
That-
It sounds a little bit creepy.
That's what you're gonna need to do.
Do I need to speak like this now?
Sound always sounds better in mine.
Nobody can't see you now.
It's moving.
We're gonna pause for a second.
There we are.
If you just get closer to the mic.
People say I was better.
But I wanted to say that the process is what people talked about the most, and professionalism, Mr. Thompson, was recognized.
I was on the same feedback, I like Tabby, looking at the sessions, it has been a good session, so, yeah, something as simple, great. That's all the feedback I've received today, it's been very positive.
We did ask every group to spread the word that there will be a simple survey going up on October 2nd, so that anyone in the community who wants to provide their input will have an opportunity to address the same questions that the focus group got to discuss in person. So there will be an opportunity for others to provide their input. The board will see that as well.
And it'll be on our website.
Website, based on set on Thursday, and send to the parent square to all students and staff.
It's going to be something that I'll bring and see.
All right, ma'am, Mike, you want to?
I think it'd be a good time, Mr. President, that you or trustees to offer any input regarding attributes, professional characteristics, personal characteristics that are important to each one of you. And you may have already heard them included in a lot of these comments that we shared with you tonight. And if you did, that's great, but if there's any you didn't hear tonight, I really want to be sure that Mike and David are thinking about this.
Got about 12 days left.
Anything you didn't hear that was said, let's be sure to talk about this. Please share with us.
I think I've heard most of mine. I mean, I think my main things are going to be, that being visible in the community and a champion for our schools. I love that. But also very student, I guess, academic focus.
Yep.
I want a big academic focus.
I would
That's a
agree with
challenge.
that. The academics is the biggest issue, I think, really facing our school district, and everything else falls in line with that. But I think it's important to find that balance. We need to find someone that will come in and look at our academics, keep that as on the forefront. But how do you get 28,000 students and employees to come on board and improve in that direction? That's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a special person to do it. And then I will, I can't go to this meeting without saying integrity. Integrity of this process, integrity of the people we hire, that's the utmost highest paramount. feature that I'd like to see. I'd like to see a superintendent that has the highest of integrity and moral compass.
Okay.
I'll dive other than the four qualities that we've been through in areas, I would echo what our community said. I'm going to dive a little deeper into the weeds in this guy. We've invested lots and lots of time, money, blood, sweat, and tears in our secondary academies and pathways for kids. But I truly believe that we must start in the primary grades and invest just as much time, energy, and money. Because if we get kids started with a good foundation, then what we do in secondary is going to be easy.
Okay.
No, it's going to be easy. Get that to the bank.
Well, as a former person that had more responsibility, I think your academy is great. I love the comments we heard about CPP programs, about job certification programs, keeping kids in school, because we had to really focus on that. But early intervention with 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, even 4-year-olds, and teaching, we don't teach kids to read by the 3rd grade yet.
Yep.
And I spent a lot of time when I was Commissioner of Education on this, and it's every commissioner has worked on this. And I know y'all worked on this, but I would underscore that is I think you're doing some really good work at secondary level, but it appears that some of your challenges right now with the state are going to be at the 4th grade level, and I would say, yeah, look at your investments, what we do about early investments, early intervention.
I'll give you an amen.
My feelings are similar to everyone, and I went through this once before. But, the moral character of individuals that we excel in is more important, and it's less important, and it's the most important thing that we'll do, because morally, you can't go wrong. If the person we get has a moral understanding that they're here for the education, the pressing of our students to be the best. And when they leave here, they know how to read. If you can read, you can learn. They know the character they need to have. And most of all, they go back to that one thing. Morally fit to get in the world and become something special.
It's all been said, so.
Yes.
Sure. There's been a lot of importance placed on the students, and I absolutely agree that that is very important for a superintendent to focus on. But I also think it's important for the superintendent to support teachers just as much as students, because teachers are the ones in the classroom. And so supporting them and really helping them will increase the students' education and the quality of that.
Mike used to use equal in every group about Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines was headquartered in Dallas, Texas. And, they were the largest taxpayer or taxpayer that we had when I was in school in Dallas. And Herb Kelleher was one of the founders. I had the privilege to get to know him. He had lunch with him one night. He used to always say, we love our employees. We love all our employees. We love our employees. And I asked him, I said, Herb, you're always talking about loving your employees. And I said, what's the deal? And he said, well, I want to love all my employees because I want to love all my customers.
Yeah.
Well, we love our teachers. We'll love our teachers. We'll love our kids. That's what I always said. So, you're right. We talked about that today, about support of teachers and making Goose Creek the desired location to teach, not because of money, but because of the environment, climate. The question is, we got into this question today a little bit too. kind of go off a bit, but people feeling that parents do support teachers. That teachers are, you know, that sometimes they make mistakes, but if the culture is, and I don't care whether it's law enforcement, whether it's nurses, doctors, it's people in helping professions. That can be healthcare, that can be law enforcement, that can be teaching. But if they are not, if they don't feel it, they leave. Won't take them, they leave. And it's not always about money. It's about I think what you want them to feel. I want to get the car going. I want to go to Goose Creek. I want to be to Goose Creek. I want to have some enthusiasm. I want to teach those kids. They support me. They encourage me. There is a feeling, hey, we're going to do good stuff with kids, but we're not going to put up with a lot of nonsense. We're going to, and the teachers feel that. Then you're going to get hung up to it. And I don't care what's going on in Spring Branch or Teddy or down I-10 or all these places. If we make our district the place that is where the energy, enthusiasm, excitement is that people want to be here. And we're going to support them. Now, that makes a mistake. We're going to correct it. But we're not going to live on social media finishing and beating up everybody. We did that. It really hurting this district, our community, long term. So support the teachers. I didn't hear it. I think there was a lot of people that take the look at that. Sorry, I got a little carried away there, but I like the people that want to make their school district the exciting place to be.
Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, I guess my number one thing would be having somebody from Texas that knows our values, that grew up in the district, maybe not this district, but, you know, in Texas. Academics would probably be my number one priority. I think that, you know, we need somebody that is focused academically or helping our kids to progress, especially right now, the situation that our school district is in. I think we need somebody that really can focus on academics. I'll say something that, you know, I thought we should have did from the get-go was, I think we need somebody in-house. That's how I feel, but, you know, not everybody feels that way, but I really would like to see somebody in-house. We work, we build they say we grow giants, we mentor our teachers, we actually teach some of our, you know, our teachers to get their masters and their doctorates, and, you know, and then I think they should have an opportunity to progress here. You know, so I'd like to see somebody in-house. I'd like to see the credentials. It should be a doctor, without a doubt, somebody who's a doctor. Somebody that has experience, somebody that is honest. I didn't hear that word at all. But, you know, right now, you can call it social media, you can blame it on whatever you want to. But right now, you know, there's a trust issue. So I'd like to see all those things and maybe a few of the others, you know, being held accountable, being involved in the public, like I said, which it goes with the job. That's your territory. Those are just some of the thoughts I have.
That's good.
Those are good. We appreciate it. Mr. Preston, this kind of includes the kind of open sense of what we did today that we want to cover. If it's the board's pleasure, we go into closed session, we can give a little more focused conversation about the recruitment process and how that's going.
All right, very good. Thank you for the report. Before we go into closed session, are there any more questions for our panel from the board?
Not at this moment, nothing.
Very good.
There'll be more.
I didn't bring my iPad, so I'm working off of paper.
Oh, okay.
I'll get through it. All right, so at this time, the board will now recess into closed session pursuant to one or more of the following sections of the Texas Government Code, specifically 55.071 and 55.074.
Right. That's correct.
All right, very good. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. The time is now 5:46 p.m. We'll now reconvene into open session. The time is now 6:55 p.m. No action was taken while the board was in closed session. Having no further business before the board, we are adjourned. The time is 6:55.